Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Words with Wista. Welcome to my not so personal diary where I talk pop culture, politics, internet chaos, messes, and whatever pops in my head. If it's living rent free in my head, I'm most likely going to talk about it on this show. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's messy, sometimes it's serious, but either way, you are hearing my thoughts out loud. If you're part of the Wista gang, part of the Wista crew, or you call yourself a Wista warrior, welcome back. I missed you. I missed you so much. I hope you missed me too. I'm back after a long vacation. And if you are a new listener, as in the words of Pop Smoke, welcome to the party. Okay, you guys. I know there's somebody like, oh, Wista, yeah, you took a while to come out with this episode. Okay, Wista, you took a while to come out with this episode. I know. It's been a month since I posted the last episode, but I have my reasonings, right? I'm going through a lot when it comes to like schedule changes, even the aspect of like job applications and everything. So life has been lifing, but I keep having to remind and reiterate to some people, y'all got 203 episodes. Y'all got 200 something episodes. You could start from the beginning when I was in college to today as like a grown adult who's trying to figure their shit out, right? That's the blessings when you have so much content, right? But I will put down myself because there are weeks where like, dang, I got to get back on the podcast. But I think it's just like certain things for me is if my routine is off, I have to refine and check to see how I can adjust that routine, right? Especially when life is lifing, certain things will shift, certain things will change in your routine. And you're like, okay, I need to get these things in order. So then when it comes to like passion projects or even like something like this podcast, then it fits into the routine or trying to see where can I put this in my current schedule, right? So I just wanted to apologize for being MIA for a month. It's sometimes certain things that happens where it just needs to be put on pause for a quick second. Like I said, this is a one-woman show. I do the editing. I pick up all the topics and everything like that. Even when it comes to my Substack, I took like a while to post on Substack. You can actually go check that out. My latest Substack article where I talked about like how people are going through the phases of starting over. So it's definitely very relatable. Even for me, I'm going through a phase of starting certain things over. And just know that if you are going through something where you have to start over or try to expand your options when it comes to certain things, you're not alone. Some people are just not telling you it just because some people feel ashamed. And you know what? Let's delve in and talk about like life updates and change and everything like that. I just want to say this, and especially with this economy, this job market, job interviews are humiliation rituals. You guys cannot convince me that a job interview is not a humiliation ritual. So I'm going to spill my own tea. Because one thing for sure, once something happens, I take a little while before I spill my own tea. I need certain things to happen before I let you guys know my business. Because I know there's some people from my past that want to be nosy, but they don't want to text you or check to see how you're doing. But I know you guys listen to Words with Wista, but you don't want to text me or message me on Instagram and ask me how I'm doing. Okay, now let me tell you guys what happened. Okay, so I had a recruiter reach out to me on LinkedIn. They found my LinkedIn. They love my experience, especially you guys know I worked with many big brands. I don't know if I told you guys this too. I actually used to help out with the PR for AP, which we will be talking about the whole like AP collaboration with Swatch later. Yeah, there's a lot of things you might not know about me. That's one thing. The Scorpio me, I'll let you guys know certain things, but you're not going to know everything about me. So you just will never know me like that. I know that's so bad. But I had a recruiter reach out to me. This is mainly a agency that does like social media and they do like influencer marketing because we already know that the creator market is steadily building. We know a lot of people want to be content creators. I feel like right now the phase of content creation is still here, but I feel like it being full-time is slowly dwindling down just because we've noticed that a lot of people who are full-time content creators are going back to working like 9 to 5s, which, hey, if you got a 9 to 5, I love that for you. That is stability. Don't ever be ashamed to say that you got a 9 to 5. So I emailed them back, let them know my availability. They're like, okay, you're going to meet with the head of recruitment. So basically the head of people, the person checks to see if you might be a cultural fit, what amount of like pay you would like, just to know a little bit more of your experience before I send you off to the hiring manager, right? Okay. One thing in my biggest pet peeve when it comes to job interviews is the platforms that you guys use when it comes to these interviews. You got Microsoft Teams. Some of y'all use Zoom. Another y'all use Google. Another you guys use a different thing. I would not be surprised if some of you guys use Uvu, and Uvu's not even around anymore, right? They all use their own different database to do these interviews, right? So this one was for Google. So send me the email, link is everything. So it comes to the day of the conversation that I'm going to have. Mind you, they're saying they're expanding their team. I let them know my pay rate of what I'm willing to, what I want, and also sent them over my resume and everything like that, right? This is right here. When you say you're expanding your team and you're not telling me, oh, these are the roles we have open and I have to have a conversation with you to find out, right then and there, that's a red flag for me. Because you should give me a list of what's available. Because I've had recruiters reach out to me and be like, oh yeah, we have an upcoming opening for this role. This is the compensation. These are the benefits. Like, I need to know everything. This is why I always say, when it comes to like a cult, I would never be able to like fall for a cult or even a scam, because I'm going to ask questions. And also, we're going to talk about how somebody was trying to scam me on Pinterest. But back to what I was saying, I gave all that information. So it's the day of the interview, right? The interview's at 12 p.m. I'm the type of person, okay, once this interview's done, I feel like my day has begun, right? Getting prepped up, doing my due diligence about this company. Mind you, this is a company based out in London, but they have offices throughout the U.S., specifically like New York City. That's where their main headquarters is in the States, right? Okay, boom. Now, I'm getting ready, getting prepped up, doing my thing, listen to my affirmations, and there's like an internal thought in me that's like, I want this shit to get canceled. I want this shit to get canceled. Like, I just want this interview to get canceled. I really don't want to do this. So I am this type of person. I'm always early. So I get ready 15 minutes early, have my things prepped up. I get into Google Meet, everything like that. I already have my outfit on. And let's see, it hits 12. Person still didn't pop up. I'm the type of person, I know some people give grace periods. This is me. Let me tell you my grace period when it comes to like job interviews. I give you a 3-minute grace period. If it is 12:03 and you don't pop up, I'm ready to leave. So I said, okay, let's get it to 12:05. 12:05 comes, I already get that email ready for the recruiter. I'm like, so-and-so didn't show up. I'm getting ready to bounce. So then it hits what? 12:10. I send that email and then I give it another 5 minutes, right? Once it's 12:15, I click out the meeting and everything. The recruiter doesn't get back to me until like 12:25 to let me know that the person I was supposed to speaking to was actually in the call for 10 minutes and nobody showed up. And I'm thinking to myself is, I had to contact you first for you to inform me that the person was in the call. Like, mind you, and the way they started the email, because I started the email first with just checking in. And then they're like, oh, just checking in also. Did you click the link in the thing? And I said, yeah, I did click the link. And then you know what I did right there? I sent an email back, very professional. I was like, I guess there was a glitch or something going on with the platform that was used for the interview. And oh, well, that's it. I didn't even bring up the aspect of rescheduling the interview just because I always go with certain things as being a sign. If before the whole situation happened, I wanted the freaking interview to be canceled, that tells me enough it's not worth it. And there's a lot of loopholes that was missing to the point where it's like, okay, you guys have a communication problem and I don't have time for this. That's just what it is. I feel like now, especially with this job market and everything, you got to be more intentional. And this is why I talk about the aspect of making sure when you look for something, regardless if it is making friends, a relationship, whatever it is, don't be desperate. Don't be desperate, because I think about the last time I had gotten laid off and I'm like, dang, if this was me 2 years ago, I would have been desperate, but like, oh my God, I need to get this job, this and that, this and that. Now I'm like, no, you're not it for me. You're not it for me. Another one bites the dust. You reached out to me. So you saw something in me that was like, oh, this is worthy of being at our company. But I always say, pay attention to the red flags. Now, let's get on to how somebody was trying to scam me on Pinterest and I ain't fall for it. So you know how I talk about like romance scams or even like just scams in general? Well, I had gone to DM on Pinterest and it was like this alleged artist saying, oh, well, I just want to ask you a question. I said, oh, great. I said, somebody already told me, bitch, this is about to be some bullshit. So I said, what's the question? Right. And they're like, oh, I was trying to see if I can like paint a picture of you or draw you to have it displayed at an art show. And I'm like, oh, interesting. Yeah, it will be displayed at an art show at this place. And I said, okay, interesting at all. Okay, love that. And I asked some questions. I said, okay, so you're saying I'm gonna get compensated for this. What is the rules and regulations for this? And the minute I asked that, they had sent me a DM saying, oh, it's gonna be through Bitcoin, this and that. I said this to them. I said, I don't know where you are located, because a lot of those romance scams, no shade to my Nigerians, y'all be doing them. I literally replied back and I said, I don't know if you are located in Lagos or Abuja, Nigeria, or if you are in a South Asian country. I'm not falling for this shit and I'm going to report you. I'm going to report you. And I said, y'all need to get better with these Bitcoin scams, because who's doing that? I said, I'm not falling for this shit. So you need to go find another bitch, not me. When I tell you they blocked me so quick, I said, dang. That goes to show you right then and there, I'm not falling for this bullshit. I'm not. But now it's making me think about like the Nature Boy cult and like how we talked about previous cults and the aspect of like how people fall for these things. It's like, you guys really need to use some common sense, or just realize too is that you have to pay attention to certain like codes or certain things when being spoken to or communicated to. But yeah, you guys, that's all the BS that has been happening for like the past month. Like I said, job interviews are humiliation rituals. I just feel like in general, for you to have to sit down and speak to somebody who you probably will never ever see again in your life, to provide them with your resume, having to show to them, hey, I'm qualified for this job. I'm qualified for these things. Here are the experiences I got. And let's say, for example, that you've done a lot of more things that they've done, and they look at you intimidated to the point where you get an email saying, oh yeah, we've decided to go with somebody else, or we feel like this is not a fit. Another thing too is, if you're in the interview and they bring in the aspect of, have you thought about trying this? You're not getting the job, bitch. You're not. And it is totally fine. What's meant for you will come your way. And sometimes you might be in the middle ground where you're getting interviews, you're getting callbacks, and things are just not sticking yet. Be grateful that you're getting callbacks. That's it. And stop comparing yourself to other people. Like, I had to talk to a friend, and she was telling me that how like somebody just got like a role at like Nordstrom corporate, and they're getting sent out to Seattle to go live in Seattle. And I had to remind them, I was like, you don't know how long that person's been looking for a job. That's the first thing. Now they got to leave New York to move to Seattle. That's a whole different culture shock. I don't know this person's race. If they're a black woman, that's going to be a culture shock in general for them, because we've seen videos about black women talk about living in Seattle, Washington. So just too much going on, to the point where I always tell people, be grateful for others. If you see people around you starting to get their blessings or starting to get towards their true calling, be happy, because your time is coming next. That's all I can say. Let's get on to these topics and let's talk about politics. Okay, you guys, we got to get the spiel. We come from many different places. We come from many different races. We come from many different ethnicities. We come from many different financial backgrounds. But what brings us together? Politics and the economy. Let's talk about what the Trump administration is fucking up this week. Okay, since it's been a month since I've been gone, I'm just not even going to have like solid topics. I'm just going to spitfire everything that has popped into my head. This is very much an impromptu episode. So if I'm all over the place, honey, guess what? It's scattered brain, and it's just, we got to get all this in my head out in the mic, and I got to speak it out. Now, let's talk about the whole situation with Cuba, right? So ever since we had the whole situation with Maduro, who got arrested, they picked him up, now he's in the States, and how the U.S. is messing with Venezuela's oil. We're hearing the fact that Cuba is going through a situation where now people are being starved. They don't have oil. They don't have certain resources that needs to help them survive. I peeped that because I feel like there's about to be an invasion in Cuba. I don't know what it is, but I feel something's about to happen with that. In addition to this, let's talk about the Trump administration overall as a whole. I don't know if you guys know, but the IRS has been blocked from even prosecuting or coming after Trump for life. Like, I don't know what the heck is going on, but that man knew what he was doing. That's why that man's back in office. They came to get into office to scam all of y'all. That's simply what it is. But not only that, we're hearing that there's a funding for his associates, right? We're hearing that there's $1.76 billion put aside for Trump allies. And what they're allegedly saying as well, too, is those thugs who stormed the Capitol on January 6th, we're hearing that they might get a payout of that $1.76 billion. So that means your tax dollars are going towards people who stormed the Capitol and were trying to harm those in the Senate and all other sectors of the government. That is crazy. And not only in addition to that, too, the primaries are here, right? We just recently had the primaries in Georgia and some other states. They're also talking about the fact that some people who went against Trump within the Republican Party did not win their primary, right? So when it comes to primaries, we do have the midterm elections that's going to be coming out in November, right? Primaries is usually where who is going to be face of the Democratic Party and who's going to be the face of the Republican Party. So majority of the Republicans who went against Trump when it comes to the aspect of like impeachment, the Epstein files, and redistricting, they all lost. That means the people who went against him all lost within those areas. Another thing too is when it comes to Black Republicans, they got their seats taken too. So you're doing all that tap dancing for no reason. What's his name? Mitch McConnell's granddaughter's husband. Him, the one with no lineup. And his lips is always ashy. Brian Cameron lost his seat. So good luck, sir. Did all that. Married Mitch McConnell's granddaughter, still couldn't get your freaking seat in Congress like that. Did all that. Please get some Blistex for your lips and go get a lineup, please. Oh my God. But still, a lot of these people are losing. And when it comes to the aspect of redistricting, I'm not even surprised about this. When they talk about our vote, and you know how some people are like, oh, your vote doesn't matter. It does matter, because why are they doing this? Think about the people who went through so much just to even get their district to get the right to vote, right? There are people who are still alive that were marching for these voting rights. This is crazy. That's why when people are like, oh no, it was a long time ago. It really wasn't. There's some people who lived through Jim Crow and are still alive and could still talk about these things. This is why when Black people talk about certain situations, you guys need to listen to them. Listen to them. Listen to them. We would have never been in the situation had we voted for Kamala. We would have never been in this situation, honestly, if we voted for Hillary Clinton. Imagine how this whole universe would have been had Hillary won. Imagine that. You know what? Let's go all the way back. Imagine how everything would have been if Al Gore won. If Al Gore won that presidency, we never had a Bush presidency. Imagine how everything would have been. And look where we are today. That's crazy. And in addition to all that going on too, we also need to talk about with this mental health epidemic and how RFK wants to get rid of antidepressants. When I tell you, if they find a way to do this, and I don't want to put that out there, you're going to see a lot of more situations involving a pew, pew, pew. Let's talk about it. If they do that, you are going to hear a lot of things involving a pew, pew, pew. If it is somebody doing that to themselves or harming it to others, which we will be talking about that whole situation of the pew, pew, pew that happened at that mosque. And did you guys not realize a lot of the things I said a couple episodes ago, last year and the year before, that would happen are happening, even when it comes to these viruses popping up. We're all talking about the virus that James Charles was talking about when he went to Africa. The reason why I'm like talking in code is because this will be on YouTube, and I know how YouTube is. I know how it is, so just trying to get it all together. But that virus is making a resurgence in Africa. We are paying more attention to what's going on there, and they're trying to make sure whoever's coming from those countries cannot step their foot into the US. But then you have the other one where it involves rats and feces and rat piss, and you guys are not paying attention to that. Even when it comes to that boat, right? We're hearing there are multiple people that were on that boat, and how some of them are in Atlanta. There are some cases in New York. There are some cases in New Jersey. Yeah, I'm staying masked up. Stay masked up. And honestly, I feel like when it comes to that specific illness, that malady means illness in Creole, for that specific malady, because I'm going to say it like that because of YouTube censorship, that specific malady, that's going to mess it up for the freaking cruise industry. That is. I'm not touching no cruise, none of that, no boats. After that, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. The travel industry is definitely going through a situation as well too, just with everything going on, which we know about when the TSA had their government shut down. With this, with that, it's gonna definitely be a shift when it comes to that. Also, with Spirit Airlines being shut down too, people are losing their jobs. It's like, what the heck is going on? Like, what kind of multi-universe are we in? Can we get the Avengers to come and save us? Because I can't deal with this. And once again, too, I have to say this. I blame y'all. Y'all who voted for this man, I blame that. You guys opened a portal. How the hell are we going to get out of this portal? And even with that as well, and I have to bring it back to this administration, I just found out that the president is going to be in my town on Friday, which this episode will be out on Friday. Yes, the president will be in Rockland County with Mike Lawler. It's still F. Mike Lawler. They will be in New City. I guess they're going to have a little rally or whatever. And somebody was like, oh, Wista, you're going to go there to do some journalistic reviews? No, I'm not stepping my foot there. I'm not. First things first is driving to New City is just, ugh. That's the first thing. I don't even like to be in that side of New City just because it's just driving there and then the street parking. If the parking's confusing, I'm not going there. The second thing too is, why would I be at a Trump rally? Why would I go? Even if I was getting paid for journalistic integrity and everything like that, I would not step my foot there. I wouldn't. I would just be very uncomfortable being there anyways. So if anybody else wants to report it, I'll keep you guys updated. I'm not going to watch the rally, but it'll probably be documented on CNN or something like that. And we'll cover that for the next episode. But either way, it's interesting to see how things play out. I just think that when it comes to the state of politics and just overall news, there's a lot going on. And I know some people are like, oh, well, the politics can like be very touchy and everything. But you guys got to realize too is, yes, a lot of things that happen in news is very intense. But guess what? Whatever happens in the news does affect you somehow, some way. But yeah, that was the politics portion, you guys. Now let's move on to, I guess, company layoffs and everything. We know that Spirit Airlines is shut down. And I guess we're just going to intertwine pop culture with this. If you don't know who James Charles is, you're blessed to not know who that is. James Charles is, I guess you can say he was one of the few makeup boys to really have a peak in the 2010s. He was CoverGirl's first cover boy, definitely opened that door for young men to express themselves when it comes to makeup. Got to the point where he got to go to the Met Gala. We did discuss his very much situation when it comes to his alleged relationships with younger men, or trying to turn straight men to the other side, or expressing his liking for those said young men. Now, James Charles does have money. He has gotten canceled, but he still has a fan base. So we know that Spirit Airlines got shut down. So a former employee of Spirit Airlines had reached out to James Charles asking, hey, can you donate some money to my GoFundMe? I'm not surprised about that, because we do hear about like influencers, like for example, Choice TV. He talks about the fact that like he had to shut down or stop sharing his Cash App because, you know, sometimes with YouTubers, they'll take donations through Cash App or PayPal because YouTube does take a portion of those super chats you send, right? Okay. Well, Troy did talk about the fact that some people would use his Cash App name to request money rather than send him money. Now, think about that, right? Okay. Now, that young lady had asked James to donate to her GoFundMe, right? And now he feels the need to go on a rant and say, you need to get a job, this and that, shouldn't be acting, talking about he's self-made. Well, honey, you've been in the spotlight since you were young. Did you, like, you went viral because of your high school graduation photo. Like, yeah, think about that. We get it. You've been in the spotlight, but you need some media training. And it's the fact that you're so out of touch and you're calling people out and saying, oh, you need to go get a job. This person just got laid off and is being pushed into the most terrible job market we've had since the last recession. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand when it comes to the airline industry. when you move to another airline, sometimes you start from the bottom again to get to the top. I think that's another thing to realize as well too, right? But even when it came to the rant, he felt the need to say it in a way where he was like, "Oh, well, there are brown and black people that are going through the same thing." And I was like, "Boo, don't bring brown and black people to your discourse. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't bring us in this. Don't bring us in this." And it went to the point where other influencers had to call out James, and they were like, "Yeah, we have people who asked us for help, and we've been able to help them before." It's like you didn't need to go on social media and go on a rant about this young lady. You could have kept that to yourself. Because the minute you did that, everybody started talking about that situation of you and those young men. Of you and those young men. They brought up the fact that there are pictures of you with your bussy hanging out and everybody's seeing your hole. Yeah, boo. You poking out your ass and you got no ass. And then another thing too is, I don't know what's up with you James Charles fans. You guys could never convince me that this young man could sing. He cannot sing. But the thing is that James Charles, we don't like you. We don't like you. And I feel like he doesn't realize too is that the universe, God, has a way of humbling people. You might have it all today and not have it anymore tomorrow, which I'm like, you should be one of those people to realize, hey, you lost all your brand deals and everything like that. Yeah, you still get plays on YouTube, but really you should be locked up in a cell too for talking to those young men. Just saying. So make that make sense. And one thing I can't stand for sure is people who look down on others when they're going through something, because I feel like a lot of people don't realize too is there are a lot of people who are a layoff away from losing their job, regardless what position they're in. You could work in healthcare and get laid off. You could be a CFO, a COO, or even an executive and get laid off. Like, I feel like people don't realize that. I just hope you guys know that. This is why I emphasize the importance of having a side hustle or having something for yourself or having a hobby and not reflecting this all on the workplaces, because sometimes your hobbies can become your careers, right? That's another thing too. But still, James Charles, you're trash for doing that to that young lady. And I'm happy when she put out her video, she said she's not taking your apology, because why would you take somebody's apology? But also shows James Charles you are elitist. And don't be surprised when there's a situation that something happens to you and nobody feels bad about it. And I won't be surprised. Something's telling me, I feel like there's going to be more young men coming out talking about you sooner or later. And James Charles is going to end up just like that young man from that cheerleading show. Cheer. Remember Jerry from Cheer, who got caught talking to those young boys and now he's in jail? I won't be surprised if something like that happens. And that's all alleged. That's all my opinion. That's all alleged. I don't know. It's just something my spirit is telling me that, but we'll see what happens, you guys. But yeah, there are a lot of layoffs happening. We are hearing about the fact that like LinkedIn had layoffs, and it's crazy how LinkedIn had layoffs. And then the people who worked at LinkedIn were actually on LinkedIn letting it be known, hey, they got laid off from LinkedIn and they're open to work. Like the irony to that, it's like, what the heck? But we're going to hear more about like tech layoffs, Amazon layoffs, Meta layoffs. Some of these companies are doing their layoffs quietly by doing it in small groups so they don't qualify for the WARN Act. But it's like, we peep these things. Don't stay quiet about it. But I think with these midterms elections coming up, I feel like once we get more folks who are blue into office, I feel like we'll start seeing a shift with these companies, because a lot of these companies now are realizing, oh snap, they're messing it up. But even with this too, and I have to tell people, as much as you guys don't like AI, you're going to have to start working with AI. Because even when it comes to any of these companies, even PR agencies are asking, are you comfortable with using AI? Because they want to streamline the process faster, right? They want to churn out this, like, all this work done quicker. But even with that too, AI makes its own mistakes, right? ChatGPT tells you, hey, we make mistakes, but still analyze and try to see what they. So I'm going to say this, as much as, yes, it's terrible for the environment, but just like I bring up with artists when it comes to streaming, AI is here to stay. If you're a musician, you might as well start using AI for your stuff. So don't be surprised about these things. But yeah, you guys, We're going to hear more about layoffs, but we're going to hear more about the transition of like the business industry and see how things play out. But like we're hearing about a bunch of companies going down the drain and seeing what's going to happen in some of these industries. But all I can say for sure is have a hobby and still have something for yourself, right? Have something for yourself because you just never know what can happen. So let's move on to more like relevant business news. Jeff Bezos just did an interview, which I don't know what he's doing to his face. I think his wife has inspired him when it comes to getting some Botox or something. His face looks very strong. I don't know what he's doing. And that's the crazy thing about like billionaires. You guys have access to the best doctors, but that doesn't necessarily mean the best doctors is going to do the best work for you. That goes to show you, yes, money can get you access, but it can't always get you good looks. But Jeff Bezos is basically saying that, hey, you guys can tax me more, do this and that, but it's still not going to help as much, right? He's saying the best thing to do would be to basically not tax those who are under the 50% when it comes to like the financial status. And everyone's like in between. It's like, we'll see what happens, but I'll keep you guys updated when it comes to like the financial discrepancies just overall, because let's not forget, a lot of these companies are getting rid of these jobs, but then not leveling up these wages, right? Like I mentioned, Meta just did layoffs and they're focusing on AI. So not only did they lay off like 6,000 employees, those 7K jobs that they had open, they're gone now. They're officially gone. So what is going to happen with that? So let's say, for example, you apply for a job at Meta. Guess what? It's closed. Now you have to look for a different alternative, which is why I keep emphasizing, I get it. AI is so bad for the environment. But personally, right now, I need you to work with it somehow, some way. Don't use it for some dumb shit, because you see how some of these people make those little AI movies and everything like that. And YouTube is starting to crack down on that. So if you have like a channel where you mainly focus on making like AI content, well, guess what? They're going to get rid of that. So instead of that, work it to your advantage. Use it to tailor your resume. Use it for certain things to help you really open that door so you can get through the ATS system when it comes to like a job application. So I'd say use it to that advantage rather than using it for dumb shit. Because let's not forget, there was a certain time people were making AI videos and it went viral on like Facebook and everything. But it's like, okay, are you guys going to use it to help y'all make some money rather than just putting out this content? Because also too is, like I said, content creation now, I've noticed that a lot of people are shifting away from it. But yeah, you guys, with this business and everything, it's just personally get a side hustle, do something about it, please. Okay, so now we are entering into the sports world and celebrity world. And just know, I think this episode is going to be on the shorter side this time, just because you guys know when I come back from a break, I just go on a whole rant about everything that happened while I was gone. And then we get back into motion. So let's talk about the World Cup. Well, the Department of Homeland Security has just let us know that they don't have like the materials or even the capacity to handle the World Cup, right? So we know the World Cup is going to be in various sectors of the country. For example, because I was talking about this game with somebody yesterday, Brazil and Haiti are going to go against each other in Philly. They have matches in New Jersey. I think there's also a match somewhere in California. I could be incorrect, but still, it's going to be spread out throughout the U.S. And with the way things are going and how problematic it's been with FIFA and their affiliation with this administration, let's not forget they gave Trump the Peace Award and everything like that. Well, some people are like, okay, they're not going. Well, FIFA is going through a whole like crisis comms to the point where they're lowering tickets. But then also you have places like the New Jersey Transit. And you've taken the New Jersey Transit like myself. It is not reliable at all, right? Super expensive, but not reliable at all. So imagine people having to get on the path, take it off at like what? Secaucus, not Hoboken, because they have to go to Secaucus, and then transfer to another train to get to MetLife Stadium. And the amount that's going to cost, because think about the fact that at first the New Jersey Transit was like, oh yeah, we're going to charge people who are going to the World Cup $100 and something. And a lot of people are like, how are you going to charge them $100 when you guys don't even want to provide the infrastructure to let daily commuters really get to work on time? Yeah, make it make sense. So now that they're lowering tickets, they're lowering the prices, more people are actually interested into attending the World Cup. But now guess this. Well, guess what? Since more people are attending, they don't really know the capacity of the people coming in, because some people are going to buy tickets last minute. And when the DOH mentioned that, I don't know, for some reason, I thought about the Olympics in Atlanta and what happened during that, right? That's the first thing that popped in my head. And you guys know me, whenever something pops in my head, it usually happens. I'm not putting that out there, but pay attention. Just pay attention to that. But we'll see what happens when it comes to this World Cup. It is only June is right across the corner. So we'll see what happens with that. But all I'm going to say is, if you are going to go to the games, listen to your gut, trust your gut. I think that's the most important thing. But still, and for my Haitians, I know Haiti is playing, but my Haitians, a lot of y'all new hypocrite. Y'all are hypocrites. This is where I'm really going to see if y'all standing for Haiti. Because one thing about Haitians, there are two teams. There are actually three teams they're going to be rocking for. Brazil, Argentina, and France. I'm on the Brazil side. I'm going to rep America still because y'all got some black folks on the team, but I'm still repping Brazil. I'm repping Haiti too, but I already know we getting our ass beat in that match. Unless y'all call all the deities and y'all do some manji for that fight. I don't know what y'all got to do. Y'all need to call Israeli Dentor, Papa Legba, and all these people to go win that match. Back when it's not fair. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Now, let's move on to just celebrity news and a little bit of TikTok news. I know I'm like all over the place, you guys. But still, let's talk about John Boyega and his new wife, Tay Heckard. If you guys don't know Tay Heckard, she is 48. She is a video vixen. She's been in a couple music videos. She dated Nelly, Brandon Jennings, and she also dated Stefan Diggs. She's actually known for being like the alleged side chick to Brandon Jennings. So she was actually very close to Tiana Taylor. Tiana Taylor was dating Brandon at that time, and she was allegedly messing with Brandon on the side, and then she got pregnant. So they actually share a child together. And if you don't know who John Boyega is an actor from the UK, very much popular for being in the Star Wars trilogy films, and then also being in the film Who Cloned Tyrone. He definitely had his peak in like the 2010s. Like it was him, Damson Idris, and then the other guy, Daniel Kaluuya. They're kind of like the three musketeers when it comes to like the UK rap, not me say UK rappers, but UK actors. And it was like, okay, who is going to be up there with Idris Elba? Who is going to get that Denzel Washington like cosign, which we've seen who Denzel has co-signed when it comes to upcoming actors. But specifically when it comes to British actors, we've seen who he's co-signed. But John Boyega was kind of being seen as like the next up and coming, right? Being seen in those spaces, being in the Star Wars universe, and being like the main cast, being a black man, being featured as like one of the main characters in that situation, right? Well, then guess what? That happened. Yeah, he had his peak and he kind of disappeared. And I think the thing is, a lot of women are surprised that John Boyega is with Tay Heckard. I'm not surprised. If you actually are in the blogs or actually are interested when it comes to pop culture in general, regardless of what sector, specifically within like black media, regardless if it's in America or the UK, you kind of already knew the Tay Heckard is John Boyega's type, okay? John Boyega loves him a BBL baddie. I'm not saying that Tay has one, but if you've seen the previous women he's been with, the last woman he dated was what? He dated Princess Love. Princess Love doesn't have BBL, but still affiliated with Ray J. She has a certain look. And then he dated Mano's ex, the young lady that was on Love and Hip Hop New York, where she talked about where she was pewed. Her, I forgot her name. She was a beautiful dark skin girl. They dated too. So that shows you his type right there. And then again, too, I'm be honest, y'all know my type. If we both got hips, it's not working, okay? We both can't be rocking hips together, okay? We can't be rocking our hips together because if we dipping together. I don't got time for that. But you know what? Congratulations to them, a beautiful black couple. And that also shows to you ladies that, yes, even if you are a little bit more grown, you can still pull you a young one. You can still pull you a man. So don't let anybody think that you can't pull a man because you're older, because y'all love to shame older women. And I always support older women, okay? So even if you're on the older side and you haven't like gotten to that point when it comes to like the aspect of like societal norms when it comes to what society deems as you need to get married at this age, Tay just showed you, bitch, you could be pushing 50 and you can get you a John Boyega. And I honestly will say this is a level up for her. Nelly, Brandon Jennings. I haven't heard anything about Brandon Jennings when it comes to basketball. I don't pay attention to basketball like that. Stefan Diggs, ladies, be real right now. If you had to pick between a Stefan Diggs or a John Boyega, who you picking? Those are only two options you got. Stefan or John Boyega. Bitch, I'm going with John Boyega. I'm not picking no Stefan. The fuck? Hi. Oh my God. No. No. But congratulations to her. But I'm still surprised how some girls are like, oh, he picked her. If you paid attention to John Boyega's relationship past or knew a few things or are in the blogs or on Lipstick Alley or any of these forums, you would know John Boyega like him a BBL baddie. He got hips. You got to have hips with him too. But yes, wish you guys the best in marriage. And I think she's allegedly pregnant. So congratulations to them. All I know is his Nigerian mom is not happy with that, but that's not my business. But congratulations to the lovely couple. Black love, yes. Now, let's talk about Stefan for a second. I know there was a whole situation with Stefan and the BBL chef and all that jazz. All I'm going to say is, yeah, the chef did not deserve any treatment that she was getting. But sis, when he told you he was going to give you that money, you should have taken that money and ran. You lost the court case. Now you might have to pay for his legal fees and everything like that. And you're still on Instagram busting a wine, popping it and everything like that. Girl, I know you regret not just taking that money and keep it pushing. Because still, after that whole trial, Stefan was celebrating Mother's Day with Cardi. Right then and there. And I just want to say this. Stefan did like a post about like Cardi putting allegedly spells on him on his Finsta. And I'm thinking to myself, is Stefan, you a warlock too? You guys got to pay attention to things when it comes to these men. Y'all act like these men are not doing these same things too. Blueface, Kevin Gates, any man where a woman keeps going back and back, you cannot tell me he's not a warlock. I don't know what kind of situation Chris Brown's mom is doing to you guys as a society. I need to know what she's doing because, girl, send that my way because I need to know what kind of chokehold or what kind of warlock magic he's doing to still keep you guys attracted to him. That's what I got to say about that. But the BBL chef with Stefan Diggs, girl, you should have just taken the freaking money. And this is just me. That's just how I feel. When it comes to this outcome, girl, you should have taken the money. You should have still taken the money and then sued him right then and there. But you know what? That's not my problem. That's not my business. But yeah, now you got to pay his legal fees or whatever else is about to come with that. Now, let's move on to like Megan and Klay Thompson. Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay. I just want to say this. When you enter in the aspect of falling in love or getting a relationship, there is always that sense of you could potentially get hurt, right? Even when you apply for a job, you could potentially get laid off from that job, right? Okay, now, I think the thing is there are certain parasocial relationships when it comes to certain people, especially in the aspect of Megan, right? We feel a very close connection to her because we saw her lose her mother and everything going on with the whole Tory Lanez situation and her trying to find love and trying to build a community. So she meets Klay Thompson, right? Anybody who knows about Klay Thompson's relationship history, similar to what I'm talking about with John Boyega, you kind of already knew, okay, this is what I call a professional F-boy. When you see him, he looks good on paper, but when you with him, it's like, this ain't it at all. Am I surprised he did this? No, I'm not surprised. Because if you know Klay Thompson's history, even with the women that he dated, I'm not surprised. You did it to Laura Harrier. You did it to some of these other beautiful black women that you dated. I'm not surprised you did this to Megan. Not surprised at all. I would think you would change because you're with somebody with a huge fan base, and this is what it is. This is what it is when it comes to that. One thing I'll say for sure, a lot of people are like, oh my God, if he did this to Megan, what's next? Who's the next couple goals? There's a couple in the NBA. There's a couple of them in the NBA where y'all think that man is loyal to her. I'm not going to say the name of that couple, but y'all put them on a pedestal. They're a black couple. Y'all put them on a pedestal. And with the amount of tea about that man, I know he has good PR. I've met some people from his PR team. He got good PR, but I just want to let you guys know he's doing the dirty too. But y'all love him and his wife. I'm not going to say the name, but I'm just going to put that out there. And they're in the NBA. But still, I think the thing is, I'm not surprised about it. I think what I love and I respect Megan for is the fact that she stood on business and she left. It's the fact she stood on business and she left. That is what I'm going to say. She set her boundaries. She said, hey, I'm not going to tolerate this. And she left. Now, my personal opinion is her leaving the Moulin Rouge early. Hey, man, going to work heartbroken ain't fun. Going to work heartbroken, sad about something is not fun. So I don't blame her for that. A lot of people are trying to shame her for that. I would not shame her for that. You have to do what's best for you. I'd say for her, take some time away from music, or maybe even curate like something for the girls, right? Next time, Megan, don't show your relationship. Don't show your relationship. Keep that shit private. I'm going to say this too. Date outside the industry. Date outside of the industry. You do not need an athlete or somebody in the industry. You need to be with a high value man who probably works in like sciences or is a businessman and does not have anything to do with that. Because we already see what these whole high profile men is, right? And I'm not saying, oh, what happened to her and Clay can't happen in another relationship, but it's the fact that she showed you guys, you post something like this, she's leaving you. She's not tolerating it. Now, let's think about the wags now, because yes, Megan was a wag, but also she was a wag with a job, proximity, a position. She already had her own things, right? I don't know what it is, but ever since this whole Megan Thee Stallion situation, I've been noticing the wags, or like the former wags, are popping up and talking about how they dated athletes, and the only thing that was beneficial was like the money, and how now they're adjusting to not being a wag anymore, and how it's the lifestyle change and everything like that. Or even that one girl on TikTok that she's known for being a jersey chaser, and she ended up with one of the players from, I think, the Philadelphia Eagles. She ended up pregnant, and then 8 months into the pregnancy, the dude left and ended up on Hinge. So that goes to show you too, is some of these lifestyles that you guys glamorize, like for example, being a wag, it comes with its own cons too, which is why it's like look from the outside. If you were to be a wag and you're with a guy who, yeah, he plays football or basketball, I hope you're picking a basketball player, because the NFL equals not for long. And who really wants to deal with CTE? Because who want to deal with CTE, honey? Who wants to deal with a man who got CTE? But still, I just feel like if this is a situation where he's making all that money, you're getting these bags and everything, girl, take some of that money for that Chanel bag. Go put it on the side. Go put it in a high yield savings account, a Roth IRA. Go invest it. Go start that business. As much as y'all like to shame Instagram boutiques, go start that business just in case, because I'm seeing too much content about former wags and how they miss the lifestyle and everything, and they have to go work a regular schmegular job now, right? And there's nothing wrong if you want to work a regular schmegular job, okay? Shout out to my 9-to-5ers, okay? But still, that is interesting to see. Now, let's move on to this whole like TikTok situation. So I am talking about TikTok, and let's talk about like content creation and this whole situation with the 4 and the 5, and then the 4 girls in Atlanta. So basically the 4 and the 5 are 4 black women. They're all black women, but I'm just saying 4 women of color who live in New York City, you know, the 5 boroughs, and they're basically documenting their lives and their industries. And think about it as like the POC version of like Sex and the City, but more personal, right? They went super viral, and then I guess there was a spinoff that happened in Atlanta where 4 groups of friends were inspired by the women in New York, and they decided to do their own version in Atlanta. And everyone is going crazy saying, oh, they copied their idea. I just want to let you know this. You can have an idea in your head, and somebody else can have the idea too. It's just who's going to go and actually put the idea out there first, right? Yes, those young ladies can trademark it, but they're not the first ones to do something like this. They were talking about how there was an Instagram page back in like 2018 that followed the lives of like 4 black women at a specific location. So I don't know what you guys are talking about when it comes to that. Now, when it comes to this idea where people are like, oh, well, the girls in Atlanta shouldn't be documenting at all, I am here for these groups of black women to document their lives, because a lot of these women are in industries where you guys glamorize about, and they're showing you guys the ins and out of it, right? I want to see what the girls in New York are doing. I want to see what the girls in Atlanta are doing. Show me the 4 girls in Boston, because that's one thing for sure. If you lived in Boston, let's talk about that. Let's talk about being 4 black women living in Boston. We don't hear about that. Let's do the 4 girls in Miami, Chicago, DC. Let's see different aspects of it. Think about it as its own version of the Real Housewives and how it has its own regional sectors. Let's watch that. It's personal now because it's on Instagram. And let's be real too. It's better than paying for freaking cable. It's better paying for like Peacock or even one of these streaming platforms. But still, I don't like how you guys are trying to bash the women saying, oh, well, they didn't get the props. They definitely did say, hey, you guys were inspired by this and we want to provide our own version. And also too is, as crazy as we talk about Atlanta, it'd be interesting to see how people in specific industries that are booming in Atlanta, how are they getting through these things? What do we want to see this documentation? I am here for this whole like group pages, but then the aspect of me is thinking, okay, this is a friendship page. This is like a girl group. What happens if the group breaks up? You know how like with a couple channels, when the couple breaks up, everybody follows the girl and they don't really follow the guy in the relationship. What happens when it comes to these friendship pages? That's what I want to know. I don't want to put it out there, but what happens with that when it happens? But we'll have to see when that happens. But you guys, I'm going to end the episode right here. Thank you for listening to Words with Wista. You can find this podcast on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Wherever you found this podcast is where you got to follow it. Write a review. Give it 5-star rating, honey. Please, let's get these ratings up, okay? Write a review. If you have constructive criticism, DM me at ItsWista, ItsWista. You can also DM me at Words with Wista. You already know the name of the podcast. Follow me on Substack, Words with Wista. I'll be back with more episodes. And just know you guys are loved and blessed. And just know that change can be very uncomfortable, but it needs to happen. I don't like change, but I know I need change to put myself out there and everything as well. Okay, you guys, I will talk to you guys next week. I know you guys are like, what's that? You say you will talk to us next week and it probably won't be next week. No, my schedule is changing, but I'm learning to adjust with everything going on. But you guys, stay safe, love yourself, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye. Mwah.